Category 1 storm warning, 90-mile-an-hour gusts. The car is being shaken right now. This is what life is like on an odd day in Dutch Harbor, home of the Deadliest Catch.
These things are massive.
Look at the size of Dawn compared to the size of that boat. Dutch Harbor is the #1 seafood industry port in the world. So we've got a sea otter right here, and he's kind of snoozing, just hanging out. Let's see how close we can get. Dutch Harbor has a rich history dating back to World War II, and some pretty serious battles were fought here over these islands. What lives inside an 80-year-old bunker in Dutch Harbor in World War II? Let's find out. We're in Dutch Harbor, and we have basically what I would consider a Category 1 hurricane. It's a Category 1 storm warning, 90-mile-an-hour gusts, sustained winds 40-50 miles per hour. This is what life is like on an odd day in Dutch Harbor. Some days it's beautiful, some days it's brutal. The car is being shaken right now. I've been through many hurricanes in my life in South Louisiana. This is exactly what it feels like.
About to go out and try to get to the car in this windstorm that we're having.
Category 1 storm watch today. All right, let's get in the car. Beautiful day in Dutch Harbor, Alaska. And I can't wait to show you guys what we have today, because there's something really cool here, and this is Captain's Bay, Alaska, home of the Deadliest Catch, famous TV show. We're gonna go walk the docks. We'll take you along with us and show you what we can find. The big one.
Look at that.
Yeah. The net comes down through there. There's big nets in there.
The Dominator.
Dominator. Gladiator.
These things are huge.
You got a big boat. The famous Saga crab boat from Deadliest Catch, parked right there. And this is so Unalaska, Alaska. That's way up in the interior. So what you see here is the name of the boat and where the boat was registered. This one's Unalaska. If you're wondering what's the difference between the Saga crab boat and some of these boats, you can tell by the equipment that's on the back. See right there is that big winch. That's for trawls and long lines, as opposed to the big winches like on this one here. It's for the crab pots. I believe that's a famous boat right here called the Patricia Lee, well known from the Deadliest Catch TV show. And folks, I just want to give you the idea of some of the size of these massive machines. That's a big boat. What do you think, honey?
These things are massive.
Look at the size of Dawn compared to the size of that boat.
Yeah, look at this.
Yep. Many of the boats are out right now. That's the Saga. A little bit windy, a little bit chilly out here right now. Maybe, what, 40 degrees?
But it's clear and it's not raining and it's not 50-mile-an-hour winds. So we will
We'll take it.
We will love it. This whole boating industry thing just fascinates me. What they go through out there on those boats to bring us a crab.
Dutch Harbor is the #1 seafood industry port in the world. Millions and millions of pounds of seafood come out of this port every year to go across the world. Not just crab, but salmon, halibut, cod, and many other types of seafood. And that is the famous seagull from the Deadliest Catch TV show. This to the right of me right here is not a crab boat. This is a trawler. And we know that because of the giant winches that are on the back of this thing. And you can see those big white things that look like wings are exactly that. In the industry, pretty much call them boards. And that levels off the trawl. Once it's in the water, it's basically a big giant hoop net. And kind of flies through the water on those wings. And that's how they control how deep and how shallow the mouth. And what it does is those wings catch the water and it spreads out the mouth of that net to capture anything that's down there. Very different from crab boat. It's a rare sunny day. It's a great time to share with you what life is like on the Aleutian Islands with Living My Alaska. We are about 900 miles from our home in central Alaska, north of Anchorage. Some of these boats are owned by private citizens, basically a small business operation. But many of these boats are owned by corporations or large families run by corporations. And the boat skipper or the boat captain doesn't necessarily own the boat. He just is hired to run the boat. And this is great right here. I'll show you how clear and beautiful that water is. You can see the keel of the boat. Oh, let's go see the sea otter. So we've got a sea otter right here, and he's kind of snoozing, just hanging out. Let's see how close we can get. That's funny. How cute is he? Sea otter's a bit of a shy creature. He doesn't really like to let us get too close. But they're sure cute to look at. So this is a great look at a crab boat right here to the right. You can see where the nets come in. I mean, the pots come in, the big crane. Looks like they're doing a lot of major work on the deck of this thing. Big operation, big boat. That's the draft numbers. That's how many feet under the water the boat is.
Oh.
In other words, the draft. And this is basically the float lines. That white line tells you the boat is fully weighted, and you don't usually go above that white line in terms of weight on the boat. Right now you can tell the boat is empty and not really weighted down because it's quite high out of the water. It's designed to run where that keel is almost in the completely submerged. Keeps the boat balanced. Okay, you guys, there's a sea otter over in this corner. I'm see if I can sneak up on him. We'll get it up close. Say hello. Hello, Mr. Sea Otter. He's darn cute. We're going to drive up on the hill right now and give you an overview and a bird's eye view of this entire fishing port. Dutch Harbor has a rich history dating back to World War II, and some pretty serious battles were fought here over these islands for the strategic position between the United States forces and the Empire of Japan, 1940s. And some of the ruins and the bunkers and the history of those battles is still here, which is amazing. Thought this would be a great place to share with you guys because in the background is the entire Dutch Harbor and Unalaska. Out on this area, there is a seafood factory right here, and that's called the Spit. And if you ever watch the Deadliest Catch, that's where many of the boats come in to pick up their crab pots and load their crab pots is right there. And when it goes back around, there's a giant crane right there. The giant ship, the container ship, is not in port right now, but it was this morning. And this is where they float these huge, I guess maybe 900 feet long container ships, and they load them with a sea container after sea container full of seafood, and it ships out of here across the world.
So this is the inside of one of the bunkers on what is lovingly referred to as Bunker Hill, which is a mountain here in Dutch Harbor. There's a nice walking path or hike up to the top, and this entire hill is covered in bunkers, and we'll show you some more interesting things on the other side.
We're trying to catch our breath because if we turn the camera around this way, you can see where we just walked from. Walked at the bottom of those hills, way down there, all the way up here. So we're catching our breath. So this is a gun turret. Where Dawn is standing was once a large artillery piece that would send artillery shells over into the bay. Lack of a better term, artillery, that's probably a good way to describe it. And it's overlooking this massive bay in Dutch Harbor, and that was to protect this inlet from invading ships full of soldiers and otherwise. South of here is the northern Pacific Ocean. This way, north of here, is the Bering Sea. This is west. That would be more of the northern Pacific and the border with the Bering Sea, and beyond that would be Russia. This is an old bunker that's flat. It's been here for 80 plus years. I don't really want to walk through here because it's probably full of old nails. A rusty nail in my foot would not be a good time today. The soldiers came from all over the country to protect this place, Dutch Harbor, from the invading Japanese forces of the Japanese Empire. And this is really good because you can see how they built this thing. So concrete with the little track on it, and then the rail. This rail allowed the gun turn in a 360-degree motion at any point in time, angled about like this, and it could send shells. There's a ship way out there right now. You get an idea of how it shells onto that ship and prevent it from entering the harbor.
All of this that exists today, Dutch Harbor and Unalaska and the booming little fishing community that it is, exists because of that. Because of
people,
our
heroes.
Military and our heroes that put all this in place to protect this. Incredible.
This spot, Bunker Hill, overlooking this inlet, is one of the more popular spots for whale watching when the whales are here. By the end of October, the whales are usually headed south to Hawaii. Let's go see inside. What lives inside an 80-year-old bunker in Dutch Harbor from World War II? Let's find out. This is a World War II bunker built in the 1940s, about 1942. They built these bunkers to house soldiers and to protect this port from invading armies. In this case, the Imperial Japan invading forces that bombed this island very heavily. And they fought over this place aggressively for a strategic foothold on the Aleutian Islands. And the heroes and the young men and women who came out here and sacrificed their life to protect these islands and protect the people that lived on these islands is a rarely told story in the chapter of our nation's World War II battles. I want to reach out to all men and women that serve in uniform to say thank you and God bless. Because what they don't talk about here is how the men and women in uniform came from around the country to rescue the native peoples that lived on this island and the islands like this out here, and they evacuated those native peoples to other places in the country to save them from certain death under the Japanese Empire. And that's a little told chapter of that story. It's misleading for people to tell only half the story as to how they forced the native peoples of the lands to evacuate, because that's not the entire story. They forced them to evacuate and to save their lives and to preserve their culture and their heritage and their bloodlines from certain doom under the iron fist of the Japan's emperor. And so thank you to all the people who risk their lives in places like this. If you're wondering what I'm seeing right now, this is what my view looks like. Check out inside this bunker. Very historic, amazing. This is one of the better examples of a World War II bunker that's still intact from World War II. The soldiers would hide inside, point their ammunitions out, and do their best to defend this place. And the fighting was pretty fierce. And what it overlooks is now the little town of Dutch Harbor. This is what your soldiers would have seen in World War II. Guess with a lot less buildings. So it looks like this is a second level to this place. I get the impression that soldiers who stayed up here likely lived and slept and ate up here for a few days at a time, maybe longer. It's quite an impressive shelter, but it would make for some very long days. And this is their view, a soldier's view from a bunker overlooking Dutch Harbor, Alaska. Bunker, Dutch Harbor, wife. All right, do my best to try to get down this hill. Consequences of making a mistake are pretty severe. So what is this? What are these kind of berries? Are these little berries here? Look.
I don't know. I think they're crowberries. I'm not sure.
You have some evergreen here, and you have this. This to me looks like berry, but I'm not sure which kind.
But no bears.
No bears. No, there are no bears, at least as of this filming. And historically, there have not been any bears or any predators on this island other than a few foxes. This is what's called summer bait. It's a really pretty spot. Salmon stream behind us during salmon season fills with salmon. You can come out here and get at least 2 different types of species of salmon. But today we're looking for foxes. There's some wild foxes that like to run around out here, bald eagles, and it's just a beautiful beach. We're doing some beach combing. Last few days we've had a really serious storm come through here, 90-mile-per-hour gusts, about 3 days of absolutely miserable weather. And so on the back end of that storm is usually a really great time to do some beach combing. And it's one of my wife's favorite things to do on her day off, is to walk these beaches and see what kind of trinkets and goodies and objects she can find. Everything from seashells to sea glass to old bones and such, and pretty rocks. And it's just very peaceful. This is a razor clam. There's nothing inside of it right now, but these are very, very tasty and very popular as a delicacy for Alaskans. And I wish we could find some with some actual meat inside. Razor clam.
Is this a rock or a piece of pottery? I think it's a rock.
I don't know. Wait a minute. How much stuff do you have in that bag already?
It's stuff. It's good stuff. I think
Good
this
stuff?
is a rock.
Let's see.
Is that a rock?
Yeah, it looks like just a rock
Look
to
at
me.
this.
What did you find?
I think that's a really big piece of. Is
Yeah.
that some kind of dried
like-
coral?
Yeah, it looks like coral to me. And a razor clam
Uh huh.
and a seashell.
Uh huh.
Good times.
Yep.
You know, we're in crab area because there's pieces of crab on the beach. Buddy's fishing glove. Black sandy beaches here. It's not white like Florida. The black sand is because it's volcanic. Alaska is surrounded by a northern end of the Pacific Rim, famous rim of volcanic activity. And that is why mostly the reason the sand is black here.
Lost in the land of the midnight sun. Reach your hand to the high wall where the goods are out and the odds are good and our blessings come from the birchwood. It's a wild life in the gray land. It's the husband and wife on the homestead. There's nothing like living this wild. It's a wild life. It's a wild life. It begins where the road ends. No bad weather, just bad clothing. Chickens from the ocean, dogs come from the street. We're a little bit crazy with Alaskan-sized dreams. It's a wild life in the gray land. It's the husband and wife on the homestead. There's nothing like living this wild life. It's a wild